Hey, what's up? This is the start of a series about Donald Trump's wall, a wall that he's had built for over 3 years. This wall was built on the day after he actually won the election. So this is November 10th, 2016, if I am correct with that date. I think I'm pretty correct with that date. And I've had the idea of making this video since then. And something else also began on that day after, which is we're going to impeach Donald Trump by the Democrats and a lot of people who really despise him and still do. And I never really imagined it would get this far and this anger would last this long, even though I should have. And maybe if I'd seen a video or a series like this, trying to discuss these things, trying to understand what people were saying, trying to see the signs and the signals that were out there, maybe I would have understood and not have been as surprised of all these things. But my mindset has changed. Hopefully, making this series and discussing this thing can help you guys see things kind of how I saw things, and then we can discuss and see what different things we can get from this and see if we can come to the same conclusions about certain things and understand this one reality that we all live in and get the data into us. Because I think it's going to make the world a better place for everyone to understand things. The more we're in touch with reality, the better it is for everyone involved. So, more on the other side. So there's a lot of walls that I could be talking about here. I'm not talking about the southern border wall in specific, the whole build that wall. I'm not talking about that one. Although I might actually talk about that in different situations depending on how the reading of this wall goes. And with the reading of the wall, this is the walls that showed up in New York City. They might have shown up in other cities, but I was in New York City the day after the election, and people that disliked Donald Trump and other people involved ended up building this wall for him. And it was the day after the election. Me and a friend of mine and a few other friends who were supportive of Donald Trump in general or not antagonistic to him like most of New York City people seem to be. They just, there's a certain feeling that you just can't be pro-Trump in that area without just getting some really negative feelings. And that has existed, that has continued. I've cataloged that by going to different protests and events like that when I was in New York City. But that day after, we're walking around just, wow, he won. I mean, we were hoping he'd win, but then he actually won, and we're like, wow, he actually won. Now what? Now what do we do? And we hear that there are these people posting these post-its in different metro stations on the walls, and you just see these pictures of very colorful pictures, the things on the walls, and you're like, wow, okay, that looks interesting. And then I decide, hey, why don't we go check one out? So we go down to the Union Square station, and we walk up, and yeah, there are the walls, just all these different post-it notes. Somebody, I don't know who started it. When I'm doing this series, I'll look into it and see who started it. Might talk about that in a later video. But people would just write little notes and post something up. People would come by and read it. I guess it was cathartic for some people. Some people were celebratory and those different things. I walked by, I wanted to see it. I was very interested in what was going on with the election and everything around it. And I took a short video, took some pictures, and I've been thinking, trying to understand what was happening with that. What was that wall for? I didn't really get how much people seemed to hate Donald Trump. I didn't understand it. Even though my main support for Trump was the fact that he was coming and cutting the media narratives off, exposing that there were certain things that we were being told were one way and they were not the other way. And we're being told, we're being controlled, we're being shown, you have to believe this way. This is the way things are, instead of just giving us the information. And whether it's just the way things were, and it's not necessarily one party or these other people are trying to do something, this whole idea that, oh, sometime back in history, we had media that was a lot more honest, telling us a lot more truth, showing us a lot more reality. I think that's a lie as well. That was as cultivated for different reasons. I think we're living in a time when we have more access to information. We have more ability to have communication like this. We have the ability for me to just set up a video like this and record this and put this out and have you guys watch it and then have you guys listen and have you guys comment and then you guys share it. This ability is very new. And I think Trump was part of that. He's part of what inspired me to actually decide, hey, look, I've been blogging, I've been doing this, I've been talking to certain people about certain topics, but there's certain things I was scared of speaking about. Whether they're right or wrong, there's certain topics that I wouldn't even test to see if they were right or wrong. I just felt if I talk about this, people are just going to shun me. If I talk about this, people are just going to say, shut up. They're going to say, go away. We don't want to hear that. But there are certain topics that I think if we do talk about, we can discuss and figure out and get to understand, is this right or wrong? Why are these people behaving this way that is not as positive as these other people? Why do these people seem to have certain successes and these people don't? Why do these people support these group of people even though they don't understand where these group of people are? Why do these people suggest that we should do this in order to achieve that, even though that thing has nothing to do with achieving that? So that's the kind of thing that I think is helpful, to have somebody come out and say, look, I can come out, I can be verbose, you can like me, you can not like me, you can do whatever you want, but I can come out here and I won't just be shamed by people talking about these things. So that was part of this wall. That was part of what people would come out and they could post these notes. They could say what they're thinking. And yeah, it was very condensed thoughts, because it's a post-it note. You can't really put too much on it. Some people you'll see and will try and put different things. And I will try and go and read some of these things on this wall and try to understand, try to make sense of what's happening with this wall. Because what is it about these things that different people see the same things and have different reactions? Or the same people will get different things into them and then have the same reactions. It's an interesting thing out there. And with that in mind, I also like to think people literally mean figuratively. I'm going to try to look at this wall and try to understand, were people literally meaning what they were actually writing? What was the meaning behind that? What is actually behind this person saying this? If somebody literally meant that, what would their life be like? It would be very awesome if I could actually get this series out going and then actually end up to a point where I post something, I talk about some note on there, and then somebody who actually posted that note comes and sees it and is like, oh no, I meant this. And it'd be cool to kind of see, where are these people now? What do these people think about what they posted then? Would they post the same thing? Are they going to have another chance in 2020 and go back and post the same thing? Because he's going to win again. And it's his to win. It's not this whole situation. This is a weird thing that people say, oh, the Democrats are giving it to him. No, Donald Trump is going to win on his own power. He's a very capable man in his own way. Like him or dislike him, he's shown to be capable in many different fields in life, many different pursuits. Yeah, he might have failed at certain things, but I have failed at a lot more things, so I'm not one to look at him and say, oh, from my lived experience, I've been so successful at the things I've done compared to Trump. No, I'm not one who can say that. I don't think most people can say that. You can talk about where he started, what kind of help he had, but still, he's done a lot with what he's had. And he's the 45th president of the United States of America, about to be a two-term president. But coming back to the wall. So, my contribution to this wall was going there, looking at this, recording this, finding a post-it, and then I posted Trump train to Magaland. And I drew this little train, because there's a whole Trump train meme idea thing, and I was like, yeah, I'm on the Trump train. And what I was thinking about Trump, what I was thinking about my support for him, there was a lot of people who you might remember were saying, if Trump wins, I'm going to leave the country. They were like, I'm going to leave the country. I'm going to Canada. Mostly Canada. You see people, a lot of white people saying this. This is not a racist thing. I think it's just a thing where it's like, again, why do people say certain places? People kind of innately know, I would rather go to Canada than Mexico. There wasn't a lot of people saying, oh, I'm going to Mexico, even though I think a lot of immigrants have actually, from Mexico, have actually ended up going back to Mexico now. But anyway, coming back to the point, people say, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to Canada. I'm going to go to Europe. I'm leaving the United States of America if he wins. And most of those people are still in America. So they're kind of, that whole literally, do they literally mean figuratively? Were they actually thinking they actually would go? I was kind of thinking that time, I didn't really feel it was a negative thing, because I'm like, hey, if you actually feel this way about him, I understand wanting to leave. Because I was in the opposite kind of situation. I am still trying to immigrate in. I was kind of between work and jobs, trying to start a business that hasn't really worked out, but working on something else too. This is going to also be discussed during this series. But I was on the kind of point where I was thinking, hey, if Hillary Clinton won, if Donald Trump didn't win, from what I've seen in the political sphere, in what America I think America is, I don't want to live in America anymore. But now he won, and I'm still not in there. So some of the people who said, if he won, I would leave, are still there. And most of them were Americans, so maybe it's just home. They said, okay, whatever, I'll stay. And for me, it's like, if he won, I wanted to stay, but if he lost, I wanted to leave, but then I'm not there. So I'm wondering, like, did I also literally mean that? Because what have I done to actually get and go back there? And I'll try to catalog that a bit more in this series and other videos. But this is an introduction for this video, this introduction for this series. I'm going to be trying to keep them around 10 minutes and things like that to let people get enough information so I can discuss at least a few of these post-its. My post-it was that Trump train to Magaland, posted that up there, wrote Trump train to Magaland is for everyone. And that's kind of what I wanted to tell people, because from what I had looked at, from what I understood about America and what I still think today, is the things that make America America are positive things. Now, why do some people consider those things very negative? Why do some people hear MAGA, hear Make America Great Again, and now they keep America great, and think that's an odious thing, say they have such a negative reaction to it? Whereas I go and I see that and I was inspired by that. I felt that was a positive thing. And I'm like, you guys are Americans. This guy seems to like America. Do you dislike yourselves somehow? Why do you dislike yourselves? Or what is it about those words that brings up something in your mind that makes you want to post this on the wall, or makes you want to say this about that, or makes you want to say he hates this because of that, or what is it about that? And then there's, of course, some people who actually do get some inspiration from what he's saying, from things that I don't necessarily agree with. Some people are like, yeah, these people want to come into our country and they don't want to be American because they hate America and they want to destroy America. These liberals don't want to support Make America Great Again because they hate what America is and they want to destroy America. They love these other people. They love these other countries. The liberals say, oh, these people on the left, these people on the right, these alt-right people, these horrible people, they hate America. They hate immigrants. They hate these other people. They want to destroy people. They want to do this and that. Donald Trump is literally Hitler. I'm like, where is these things coming from? Where does that come from? Why do people see these from the same material? This is technically the same material out there. Why does this impeachment come out? And some people are like, hey, yeah, he's impeached. He's finally out. And then I'm like, wait, nothing's going to happen. This is in the House. It's going to go to the Senate. It's going to get knocked down. People don't really understand what's going on. People don't really converse. The information is out there. You can find out more information. This is going to be a location where I'm going to be going over the wall, talking about different things, talking about different post-its, talking about different notes, trying to just imagine what would be behind somebody posting this. What is that person thinking now? What have they taken in? Have they learned anything? Have they changed their mind? And just try to get people to relate to other people in different things. And I'm going to be talking about other things that are going on in my life related to experiences that I've had, maybe social experiences that are going on. But that's it for now. Maybe let me just start actually by reading one of the notes and just give you a taste, give you a feel of how this series is going to go. Okay, so loaded on the screen right now is the recording I took. It's a short recording, it's about under a minute, but you can see there's a bunch of different notes. I also took some photographs, and I'll be also doing some of these with the photographs where you can probably see better detail of some of the images, because as I move around with the camera, you can see there's a blur. So let me kind of just scrub around here and let's see if we can just find something at the start to kind of focus on. Okay, how about, let's start with this one right here. There's here with the double screen. I'll try to zoom in, or no, okay. So right there, it says, now you don't have to go to war with Russia. So now with these people, I had a Muller Madness series that I posted up because I was just talking about the different reaction that happened after the Mueller probe. And the Mueller probe was the looking into the Russia collusion case. I mean, from the break, when I heard that, he didn't collude with Russia. I just didn't really think that was a thing. I didn't really think people would take it as seriously as they seem to have. And even after that entire Mueller thing, after it was done, I thought, okay, maybe people will get it. But then the Ukraine thing came out, and that continued, and this impeachment thing has continued now. Even though the Steele dossier was just roundly found to be just fallacious and based off of nothing, yet some people still quote it like it's complete fact. I hear people saying in this impeachment thing, people are talking about how Donald Trump was, during his election, he said he was asking foreign powers for help. And now they don't actually quote it anymore. And I see, oh, when back in the election, when they started talking about all this thing about that time when he was on stage, I thought to me it was clear that he was joking when he was like, yeah, if Russia has those emails, they need to send it to us. Then people, oh, I can't believe this. He's calling for Russia to hack the DNC. He's calling for this. He's calling for help from Putin. He's Putin's puppet. And I just, really? Literally? That's what you think? You think that's literally what he's saying right there? You think that's what was going on there? And then that happens. Enough people hear that and like, okay, this isn't true. But then now it just gets put in people's mental history of the world, in how they see their reality tunnel. And then now it comes when somebody say, we're not just impeaching him off of Ukraine thing because there's hardly any actual evidence there. What we're going to do is say that, look, this is showing a pattern. This is showing a pattern of him asking foreign leaders for help against his opponents. And people, do people go back and say, was that really happening? Was that really what happened back then? Do they look at the Russia thing and think, yeah, that was it, and that this Ukraine thing? There's people out there who must think this, right? There's a lot of people who literally must think that. But what kind of world are you living in if you literally think that somehow Vladimir Putin and the KGB and the Russians have something on Donald Trump or have something on the whole United States political system to be able to, first of all, defeat somebody that you consider one of the most qualified candidates ever in Hillary Clinton, with all that money and all that thing being spent, all the entire political process, the whole bureaucracy, the whole United States government was somehow thwarted by Russia putting in Donald Trump, this billionaire man coming in that is supposedly so hated by so many people, yet convinced enough people. This guy, Putin, and the Russians know enough about Americans to get enough people to vote for him. Sure, it wasn't a popular vote and everything, but just trying to imagine all these things. What kind of world are you living in? What kind of... You go up every day, you wake up every day in the United States of America, and that's the world you think you live in? Is this just a subconscious kind of acknowledgement that people get that, oh, the state itself is not really that good at what it does? So since they deal with state apparatuses, what's the plural of apparatus? Apparati? I don't know, apparatuses? That doesn't seem right. Well, anyway, they work with that. Or if maybe they're in the state. Maybe they're like public servants. Maybe they're a civil servant. Maybe they're in the system and they get it. They're in the system like, hey, we're not really that good at what we're doing. America's maybe the government's not really that good. The state isn't that good. So I can understand. We're not really able to achieve these simple goals that we set in our department, or these departments that I go to, this facility, when I go to this kind of area to kind of get this thing done. They don't really help me that much. So maybe it's possible that they are also incompetent enough from top to bottom that somebody could come in from Russia and actually pull this whole thing off and put in a president and control that president. That's the kind of mentality people must have. And it's just really weird to me. Like, oh my God. So anyway, I'm kind of thinking, I've had some certain paranoia about certain things. Now, most of my paranoia about certain things was more about supernatural type of things when I was more religious and into those kind of things, thought like that there's a devil out there controlling this kind of thing. And this is the thing. This is more people on the political left that tend to be more atheist or less traditionally theist. But I've come to see that these beliefs still are religious. They still imbue certain supernatural, demonic kind of powers onto Donald Trump, and then put some supernatural, godly, deific powers onto their people they support. And think these people know better. These people are going to be able to come in here and defeat this great evil from the world and save us from all these constant demons that are just behind the scenes that we can't see, that are trying to control this, that are trying to destroy us. And we need to get away from this. That's not how things are. We need to get out there and actually talk and discuss about these things. What do you think about this no war to Russia? But then when you see this Russia thing, this no war to Russia thing actually might have been a troll. It might have been somebody who was actually a Trump supporter and was actually saying like, oh no, because Trump is actually in, like we're not going to have to go to war with Russia, because there was a time when Hillary Clinton was talking about actually going to war. But then how many people remember that? How many people remember that? Now, I don't want to say exactly going to war, but she had talked about something. There'll be a separate time, because I'm sure this is going to come up again, talking about the nuclear button. I should have thought this, because there was a time when I was in a bar at the time and right before the election, and somebody seemed to literally say that they thought Donald Trump was going to be such a loose cannon that he would push some nuclear button. And during that time, that whole idea of the nuclear button to me was just so clownish. Like, you think it's just something like an alarm clock where somebody could just wake up in the morning like, oh, and then slam the finger and hit the alarm clock. And then like maybe Donald Trump was like, before he went to bed, he was just fuming at Putin. Putin said this bad thing about me. I'm going to take out this nuclear button. He was just on edge to push it. And then he's like, okay, maybe I won't do it. Maybe Melania talks him off the ledge. And he's like, okay. Puts it on the side of his bed, sets his alarm clock next to it, and then he forgets to put it away because he's such a loose cannon. He's such just a careless person, just doesn't know what he's doing with his life. And then he wakes up in the morning after having some kind of nightmare or something. He's like, oh my God. And then he just swings and hits the nuclear button and the missiles launch. That's how people seem to kind of be talking about these. Some people are like, no, that's not how these things work. It's not how these things work. So anyway, that's it for this video. That's it for the first one. As you can see, there's a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about. This is just in a 1-minute video of me just scrolling on this thing, talking about different things. There's a lot of things to talk about, a lot of ground to cover here. And let me know if you actually were on the actual, in New York City or any other place where they had these. I know they had them in New York City at several places. This was, like I said, the Union Park one. Yeah, Union Park one. Union Park, I think that's it. And if you have any pictures or you posted anything, let me know. If you know anybody that posted something, let me know. Just share this series. I think it's going to be interesting. Hopefully we can get some conversation started. This is one thing on the left people kind of mock them for. I'm just trying to start a conversation. Conversations are important. Talking about these topics is important. But my problem is some people want to shut down which topics can be discussed. And I think essentially every topic is valid to discuss if you have some points to make. And then once it happens, yeah, you don't have to participate in every conversation, but I don't want to be the kind of person who says you can't even have that conversation. You don't have to force me to be in that conversation, but the more conversations being had, the better. Goodbye.